After a year of dating, today was supposed to be the day I became a bride.
What? There's no one from the groom's side.
Hearing that from the staff, I headed to the groom's waiting room, but there wasn't even a trace that anyone had been there. I quickly called him. After several long rings, he finally answered in a sluggish voice, and the words that came out of his mouth left me speechless.
I'm in Hawaii. I'm marrying my lover. No, actually, my real girlfriend.
With that, he casually hung up the phone. Stunned, my family came up to talk to me. When I told them what he had just said, they were just as speechless. My grandfather, however, was the only one who was outraged.
This is a scam. What does that jerk think Nora is? Fire him immediately.
He spat, storming out of the venue in long strides. My name is Nora Jones, a 30-year-old office worker. I met him, Sean King, when we worked together as business partners. Even after we started dating, he was a free spirit with lots of friends, but he always seemed to take our relationship seriously.
Let's just have the wedding with our families, and then we'll go all out on the honeymoon.
It's true, since we're both keeping our relationship secret from work because of business reasons, it'd be weird to suddenly tell our colleagues and invite them now.
Right? It'd be a hassle.
Well, so where's the honeymoon?
Honeymoon's gonna be Hawaii. Doesn't that sound classic? Since we're not spending much on the wedding, we can upgrade the flight and hotel and really enjoy this once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Sounds great! I've never been to a resort overseas, so I'm excited. Yes, we had planned to go to Hawaii for our honeymoon right after the wedding, based on his suggestion. So why is he in Hawaii now? And who is this real girlfriend? Judging by the empty groom's room, it seems this wedding never existed in his mind in the first place. Maybe even his parents didn't know there was supposed to be a wedding. Just like my grandfather said, this is clearly a scam, and I need to expose the crime. After telling my parents, who were handling things with the venue, I took off my dress and hurried after my grandfather. A few days after that hellish day, I was relaxing at my parents' house when my phone rang. It was from the trader. Hello. Trying to keep my emotions in check, I answered the call, but was immediately hit with a loud, piercing voice.
What the hell did you do? Why are the cops on our backs? What did you do? Hey, you listening to me?
Even pulling the phone away from my ear, his voice was still ringing in my head. I switched the call to speaker mode and turned up the volume. So, you're back home?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You didn't say it. But whatever. The cops are on you, huh?
It's you, isn't it? You ratted us out.
Ratted you out? What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb. The only reason the cops would be on us as soon as we got back is because of you.
Well. So, you do realize you did something to me, right?
Huh.
Well, you think I reported you to the police because you know you did something wrong, right?
Teach that.
Even though I couldn't see him, it was obvious how shaken he was. From a distance, it was so clear how absurd and comical his behavior was, and it only made me realize how much I had overlooked before. Feeling calmer because of this realization, I grew even more determined. How was Hawaii? Did you have fun?
What's with that question all of a sudden?
Why not ask? I'm just curious.
Of course I had fun. I had a wedding with her and enjoyed my honeymoon, so yeah, I had a great time.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it as planned.
Huh?
You intended this from the start, right? When I went to see your parents, they didn't know anything about the wedding. Even when we went together to announce the engagement, you said you'd let them know when plans were made, but you never told them a thing.
So what if I didn't?
I just realized how long you'd been planning this. So, you decided all of this before you even started talking to me about the wedding and honeymoon? Oh, and was her name Emily Kirkland?
Huh? How do you know her name?
I called the travel agency. Since the reservation was under your name, they didn't share the details with me, but it seems you changed the traveler info and itinerary about 2 weeks ago.
Why the hell are they sharing my trip details? Who told you that? That bald-headed manager? He's the store manager, right? I'm calling him to complain.
Well, it's not surprising, is it? You're a con artist. Isn't it normal for a victim to get info about the scammer?
What? Me, a con artist?
Yes, exactly. What else could it be?
You've gotta be kidding. I'm no con artist. I just went to Hawaii to have a wedding with the woman I love. How's that a scam?
As he kept barking into the phone, I wondered if he could really be this dumb. He seriously believed that just going to Hawaii to marry someone else didn't make him a scammer? Everything he did from the start screamed fraud, yet he seemed completely oblivious to his own behavior. There's nothing worse than someone who's an unintentional villain. I sighed quietly and, as annoying as it was, I decided to address things one by one. So, how'd you pay for that Hawaii trip?
What?
The trip. The travel expenses. Did you pay for the business class tickets? Did you cover it?
Well,
I paid for it, didn't I? Who was the one who told me to wait until the funds matured because we couldn't afford it until I cashed in my savings?
that was.
And the key to the new apartment?
What?
After we looked at the place, you said you'd signed the lease. You also said that since you'd handle the furniture and appliances, I should pay the deposit and key money. You sent me a photo of the contract afterward, but said you wanted to surprise me, so I wasn't allowed in until after the honeymoon, remember? Now that you're back, you can go there, right?
Well, that's.
You can't, can you? Because that contract wasn't for the apartment we saw together. As I said that, I glanced at the tablet in my hand, where the image of the contract Sean had sent me was displayed. But that document wasn't for the apartment I had given him the deposit for. I went to the real estate office to check if this contract was for that apartment. It wasn't even close. You signed a lease with a different agent for a different apartment and paid the deposit with the money I gave you. You've already started your newlywed life with that other woman there, haven't you?
What? How did you?
I told you before, I called the travel agency. Your new address matched hers, and it wasn't the address where you were supposedly living alone. It also wasn't the address for the apartment we picked out together. So, it's obviously a new place you two leased together, right? Using my money. The silence on his end filled me with disgust. There's nothing worse than silent confirmation of guilt. After a moment, I heard him muttering something under his breath. The more he mumbled, the colder I felt. Thinking back, there had always been small signs that something was off with him. So, we're not getting married before the wedding?
That's what I'm thinking. We're both busy right now, right? I'd rather wait until we have the time to really focus on it. We can get married after we move in together, right?
Then why not wait to do the wedding, honeymoon, and moving in until everything's settled?
No, that's different.
What?
That's, well, don't you want to show off a bit? You know, like a warning? Like, she's mine, don't even think about it. Sort of a reservation, you know?
What was that?
Well, Nora, you're popular, right? I thought if we had a wedding and a honeymoon, it'd keep away any bad guys.
Looking back now, it's such a strange thing to say. His expression and words were so awkward back then, but I didn't notice. Now, in hindsight, it's painfully obvious. You said it yourself, Sean. You didn't want to rush into marriage, or registering our marriage, until we had more peace of mind, right?
Yeah, I said that.
But that wasn't the truth, was it?
What?
It was just a convenient excuse, wasn't it? An excuse to avoid registering our marriage.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a common tactic in marriage scams, Sean. Delaying the registration, then piling on wedding and honeymoon expenses to swindle money.
What?
As long as you could keep fooling me, you'd get a free trip to Hawaii and a wedding with your lover without paying a dime. That's why you insisted on a venue that allowed deferred payment for our wedding, right? So you wouldn't have to pay anything yourself. You even forgot your wallet and made me cover the deposit. In such a cheap, pathetic way, I had fallen right into his trap. Looking at it now, every little thing was so obvious, I could have pointed it out immediately. However, back then, I was completely blind to it all. I followed everything he said. I gave him money because he said so. I kept things vague with my family because he said so. When I think back on it, I'm disappointed in myself. That's exactly why I'll never forgive him. It was that determination that made me run to my grandfather that day. So, yeah, I went to the police and told them I was scammed into a marriage.
Whoa, hold on. Isn't that going a little overboard, calling it a marriage scam?
Excuse me? This is absolutely a marriage scam. Not only did you string me along with what you did, but you also said you were gonna marry me when you were already married to that other woman. What else could this be besides a scam? There was a shift in the air on the other side of the phone. His tone became more rigid as he asked me.
Wait a second. Why are you saying this, Nora? You didn't verify that, did you?
What? I don't speak without certainty. I've got proof. Sean, you're married to that woman. Want to see the evidence?
What? No, but how?
Don't make me repeat myself. I told you I contacted the travel agency, didn't I? The woman's passport submitted to them had your last name, King. Which means you changed her passport name, so you were already married before the trip.
But earlier, you called her Emily Kirkland.
I also consulted a lawyer and checked your residential certificate.
What? A lawyer?
A lawyer? Yeah, I even went to the travel agency with my lawyer.
Are you serious?
Why? They clearly hadn't expected me to have already gotten a lawyer involved. Their voices were full of shock and confusion. Why? You're so loud. I got scammed, so of course I went to a lawyer. A really good one, too. They got things moving fast, so I also went to the police.
You're serious?
No way! I'm not like you two. I don't lie. Once I had my lawyer and the police involved, the travel agency had no choice but to provide the information. Ever since that day, I've learned a lot, smoothly and quickly. It's much more effective to get professionals involved, rather than stumbling around on your own. Honestly, having a lawyer was a huge help. Oh, and by the way, I have a law degree. I'm a bit more knowledgeable in this area than the average person.
You never told us that. Sean, did you know?
Sorry, I forgot.
His confidence was starting to fade. He hadn't expected things to escalate this far. The damage to his pride was obvious. But seriously, did you really think you wouldn't get caught? That's the heart of it. Normally, anyone would hesitate to carry out such a dumb plan because it's so easy to expose. I wouldn't even think of trying something like this. But they clearly thought differently.
I didn't think the travel agency would spill, and I thought you were blind to everything.
So, what? You thought this dumb girl wouldn't notice? That she wouldn't figure it out?
Yeah, something like that.
That's how he saw me. I realized now I had been blind, but he knew it and took advantage of it. He really did think I was a fool. Yeah, I admit I was blind. But Sean, you were the same, weren't you?
What?
You never imagined I'd actually take action like this, did you?
Well,
You never thought you'd have trouble coming home, right? Just like I didn't see the truth about you, you never saw the truth about me. It's true, we both failed to see each other for who we really were during that whole year. It's no wonder things ended like this. By the way, what the travel agency did wasn't spilling the beans, it was providing information.
but I never thought it would turn into something this complicated with information sharing.
Seriously? You didn't think I'd look into things? Hawaii equals a trip, so isn't it normal to check with the travel agency?
I didn't think that far ahead.
Wow, that's really dumb. I couldn't help but be amazed at his response. How could a grown man in his 30s not think through something that involved so many people, not just me? The word dumb must have carried more weight than I intended because, as soon as I let it slip, both he and the woman beside him got upset.
Hey! That's so rude. I've been listening to you, and Sean isn't dumb. He's kind and smart.
She was clearly angry that I'd insulted her man. She shouted her defense in an obnoxiously loud voice. Well, if he wasn't dumb, he wouldn't have done this in the first place.
What do you mean dumb? He's clever. He figured out how to enjoy everything without spending a penny. Getting someone else to pay is genius.
Maybe she was the real idiot here. The things she was shouting were basically admissions of their scam, and she didn't even realize it. Sean let out a small click of his tongue. Even so, she didn't notice and continued ranting, revealing more things that were clearly not meant to be shared.
You didn't notice, did you? Sean played you. That's genius. Women like you, with a tough exterior but soft for guys who show a little vulnerability, always fall for it. You were the perfect type to trick into paying all that money. I mean, weren't you glad to help a guy you love?
Then why didn't you do it? If you're so proud of supporting a man you love, why didn't you cover it?
Huh? Why would I? That's the job of a dumb girl blinded by love. I'm the one who's loved by men and gets them to pay for me.
I see.
But this time, we had our fun using a dumb girl's money instead of a man's.
I couldn't help but snicker at her. She must have heard it because she exploded on the other end of the phone.
What's so funny? You were tricked and had your money stolen.
So, you admit I was scammed and you guys took my money to enjoy yourselves? You two planned to swindle a dumb girl and spend her money on yourselves, right?
It's not like I came up with the idea.
So, Sean did? He planned to steal my money so you two could have fun together? As I pressed her, Sean's voice came in from the background.
No, that's not how it started. I didn't get involved with you just for this. I told her to stop, but Emily said it'd be fine to trick her, that we wouldn't get caught.
What? Sean, you said she was head over heels for you, that she wouldn't suspect a thing, and even if she did, she wouldn't do anything.
I get it. You both admit to scamming me.
No, it's not like that.
Yes, it is. It's not my fault. This all happened because Sean started cheating on me in the first place. I'm the side chick, so I'm the victim here, right?
Hey,
But it's true. If Sean hadn't started seeing me, none of this would have happened. I'm just as much a victim as anyone.
Now she was playing the victim. Honestly, she probably was in her own way. Sure, she'd switched departments because she liked Sean, but if he hadn't made a move, they wouldn't have had an affair, and this whole mess wouldn't have happened. So, why did he cheat in the first place? And why did it escalate from an affair to filing marriage papers and having a wedding? By the way, did Sean start seeing her because her dad's a department head?
What?
She's your coworker, right? She joined the company a year ago, thanks to her father, and a few months ago, she transferred to your department.
How do you know that?
She's terrible at her job, flirts with all the men, and uses her father's position to do whatever she wants. When she transferred, she started making moves on you, and even though you had me, you couldn't resist. I guess being the daughter of a department head made her pretty irresistible.
How do you know all this? Did you look into it again?
Of course, I had. It was hardly surprising. His shock, on the other hand, was amusing. Did you forget? We met through work. I've known your company long before I met you, and I have plenty of contacts there. I still work with people from other departments in your company.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, and by the way, the law degree I mentioned earlier? That should have clued you in. Clearly, you've lost interest in me if none of this rings a bell anymore. But whatever.
So, that means…
I asked someone from your department. I have connections, you know.
Who? Who told you?
Yeah, who was it?
Like I'd tell you. Think about it. Your department's pretty big, so take your pick. Who knows? They were clearly anxious, and I could hear them whispering back and forth, trying to figure out who might have told me. Their useless conversation went on for a while. I decided it was time to speak up. I mean, I could tell you, but you're never going to see them again.
What? Of course we will. I'll see them at the office. I need to make sure that whoever snitched on us pays.
I don't think you'll need to worry about that. You won't be seeing them anymore.
I told you, we work in the same company. Of course we'll see them, and I can't let a traitor stay in the office.
I'll tell my dad to handle it. So just say who it is. Now.
Her words made me smile, and although I didn't say anything, she clearly noticed. That made her even more furious.
What's so funny? You're laughing, aren't you? What's so funny?
Oh, nothing.
Do you even know who my dad is? You'll regret that attitude.
What would I regret?
Huh?
What exactly would I regret?
For getting your friend involved and trying to bring us down. Your friend's guilty too, and I'll drag you both down to hell.
Her shrill voice echoed through the phone, and I couldn't help but laugh. It was just too funny.
What's so funny? Stop laughing, you idiot.
I'm not laughing in secret. I'm laughing openly.
What?
And who exactly is going to be dragged down to hell?
You. When I tell my dad, the department head, you and your snitching friend are both going to hell together.
This woman had clearly used tactics like this to intimidate others before. She didn't even hesitate to threaten me, but I wasn't fazed. Sorry to disappoint you, but neither I nor my friend are going to hell.
Huh? Why not?
Because your father isn't the department head anymore.
What?
The dumbfounded sound of her voice made me laugh again. As expected, her furious screech followed.
You're joking. My dad's worked at that company forever, and he's been the department head for years. There's no way your little trouble with the company could have affected him.
Her rapid-fire screeching was louder than anything she'd said today. I chuckled and lightly apologized before continuing. But it's the truth. Your father is no longer the department head. He's been fired. Let go. I said it casually. The phone went silent for a moment, and I could hear faint noises in the background. Then, in a quieter tone, Emily spoke again.
What do you mean?
Oh, I didn't know you could talk like that.
Huh?
Oops, sorry. Don't mind me.
No, seriously, what do you mean my dad got fired?
Exactly what I said. Fired might be a bit harsh, though. He submitted his resignation and disappeared.
What? Why?
Well, he had to take responsibility for your colossal failure, didn't he?
What? My dad had nothing to do with this.
Really? Your father pulled strings to get his own daughter hired, and now that same daughter's caught in a fraud case? The police are involved. He can't stay at the company. It was a simple fact, but of course, she couldn't accept it. She kept barking at me. You see? That's why everything goes wrong for you. You've been acting like this at the office, biting people's heads off and doing whatever you want.
What?
You've been abusing your father's position ever since you joined, using him to do whatever you please. Moving to Sean's department was thanks to your father's power as head of HR, wasn't it? You even pushed out people you didn't like.
That's not true.
And I bet you didn't like me much either. Sean was your favorite, so you teamed up with him to use me, planning to ruin me in a way I couldn't recover from. Since I wasn't part of the company, you couldn't just get me fired like the others, so you tried a different approach. I could hear a small click of her tongue through the phone, followed by a muttered so annoying under her breath. Don't worry, I'll keep it brief since it sounds like you're getting frustrated. You and Sean messed with the granddaughter of your company's chairman.
What?
Granddaughter?
Yeah, fraud is a police matter. When your father found out, he resigned.
Wait a minute.
You two are fired too, by the way. You won't be going back to the office. Remember how you said you'd deal with the person who snitched? That's not happening. You're not allowed back at the company.
Wait, the chairman's granddaughter? Who's that?
She really wasn't the brightest, was she? At this point, I almost felt sorry for her. Sean, however, had caught on.
You don't mean you?
That's right.
What?
I'm the granddaughter of Chairman Mueller. My mother's side is Mueller. The last name's different, but I'm still his granddaughter. If you don't believe me, go ahead and look it up. My name will come up right away.
What?
That's a lie, right?
After she screamed, there was silence on the other end of the phone. It was the perfect example of being at a loss for words. My grandfather, you see, hates lies and scams. And when his granddaughter was made a fool of, and he got dragged into it too, he was furious. To top it off, when he found out the culprits were two of his own employees, one of whom was a department head's daughter, he was livid. The very next day, he showed up at your company.
What?
Of course, I was with him. People were buzzing with excitement that the chairman was visiting the company. Emily, your father was probably shocked when my grandfather approached him. He was all smiles, practically fawning over him. It was disgusting.
Wait, you didn't tell him right then, did you?
Of course I did. I said, "Thank you for taking such good care of my granddaughter yesterday," and oh man, I still laugh thinking about the stupid look on his face. I'll never forget it. I laughed again, remembering the scene. Seeing your father's expression, I was sure he was involved. And it seemed my grandfather was sure too, as he smiled and invited him to lunch right in front of everyone, giving him no way to back out. He must have felt the fear set in at that moment. He answered all of our questions. But just because he answered doesn't mean his actions disappeared. The very next day, he submitted his resignation and vanished.
No! What about my dad? Neither he nor my mom have contacted me ever since. Where are they hiding?
I don't know and I don't care. He resigned on his own and disappeared on his own. I'd love to know where they are too. Although I already knew where they were, there was no need to tell her. We had the company president and board members at that lunch. Everything your father said was recorded. We've already submitted it to the police.
What? That's serious.
Did you not realize? This is serious. You got a call from the police, didn't you?
Wait, what?
Isn't that why you called me in the first place? You called because the police reached out to you, right? Isn't that what happened? They both fell silent, probably breathing heavily on the other side, frustrated by my condescending tone. What's wrong? Keep talking. Everyone here is interested in your story. Please, go on.
What?
What do you mean, everyone?
I've got the phone on speaker. My grandfather, my family, my lawyer, and even the police are listening.
What?
No way.
You two are only able to talk to me because the police decided to let you. But I think that time is almost up. Can you hear those footsteps coming closer? Before I even finished my sentence, I heard their shocked and terrified screams through the phone. Shortly after, both of them were arrested, and their arrest was all over the news. Emily continued to threaten people and deny everything, but Sean seemed to realize that there was no point in resisting any further. He admitted to his crimes and cooperated with the police investigation. Honestly, I was relieved that, in the end, Sean wasn't a complete fool. Still, what he did was unforgivable. The cheating, the fake wedding, it was all beneath human decency. I filed for civil damages, including compensation for the wedding, the new apartment, and the honeymoon expenses. Naturally, there was no room for Sean to argue, and we settled, with him agreeing to pay. I also filed for compensation from Emily's parents, who were shocked to find out I had tracked them down. The fear must have gotten to them, as Emily's parents agreed to pay both their share and their daughters without going to court. Sean and Emily, now on probation, are working tirelessly in factories and as traffic guards to pay off their debts. Sean, in particular, is drowning in nearly $100,000 worth of damages and compensation. You reap what you sow. I hope he lives the rest of his life regretting the day he made me his enemy. After all, my grandfather will always be watching over my back.
How did you like today's story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.